I got fired on a Friday. No warning. No meeting. No second chance. Just a short email. We're letting you go. Effective immediately. 6 words. That's all it took to erase 3 years of my life. 3 years of late nights. Missed weekends. Fixing problems no one else could solve. And just like that, I was done. I sat there staring at the screen, waiting for it to feel real. It didn't. So I checked my phone. No missed calls. No messages. Nothing. Not even from my manager. That's when I realized. This wasn't a mistake. This was planned. Carefully. Quietly. And I had no idea why. Or at least, that's what I thought. Until I saw the name at the bottom of the email. Approved by Mark Reynolds. The COO. Not HR. Not my manager. Him. Which made no sense. Because people at his level don't fire people like me. Unless there's a reason. A big one. I leaned back in my chair, trying to connect the dots. And then it hit me. 3 days ago. A meeting. A presentation. And one decision that I refused to agree with. A decision that could have cost the company millions. I told them it was risky. Unstable. That the system wasn't ready. But Mark? He didn't care. We move forward, he said. And when I pushed back, he smiled. That same cold smile. The kind that says, you just made a mistake. At the time, I didn't think much of it. Now it made perfect sense. I didn't get fired because I was bad at my job. I got fired because I was right. And that was a problem for them. But what they didn't know, what no one in that room knew, was that the system they were about to launch was built on something I created. Something only I fully understood. And when they pushed me out, they didn't just lose an employee. They lost the only person who could stop what was about to happen next. Assistant. I didn't reply to the email. Not immediately. Because honestly, I wasn't even angry yet. I was confused. 3 years. And this is how it ends. No conversation. No explanation. Just, gone. So I did what anyone would do. I started packing my desk. Slowly. Carefully. Like if I took my time, maybe something would change. Maybe someone would walk in and say, hey, this was a mistake. But no one came. No one stopped me. Not even my manager. He passed by once. Looked at me. Then looked away. That told me everything. He knew. They all knew. And still, no one said a word. That's when the anger hit. Not loud. Not explosive. Just, quiet. Cold. The kind that stays with you. I grabbed my laptop. Company property. Paused for a second. Then remembered. I still had access. For now. And something in my mind clicked. Because if they were going ahead with that system, without me, they were making a mistake. A big one. I sat back down. Opened the system dashboard. Everything was still there. My code. My architecture. My fail-safes. Or at least, what they thought were fail-safes. Because there was one thing I never told them. One feature. One hidden layer. Not a bug. Not malicious. Just a safeguard. Something I built in case they ever ignored my warnings. At the time, it felt like overkill. Now, It felt necessary. I stared at the screen, thinking, if I walk away, they launch on Monday. If they launch, the system breaks. And when it breaks, it won't just fail. It'll expose everything. Every shortcut. Every rushed decision. Every risk they ignored. Millions on the line. Reputation on the line. And suddenly, my firing didn't feel like the end. It felt like the beginning. I closed the laptop, packed the rest of my things, and walked out. Without saying goodbye. Because something told me I wouldn't be the one coming back. They would. Monday morning. 9:03 a.m. My phone rang. Unknown number. I stared at it for a second. Then ignored it. If this was about the job, they were already too late. A minute later, it rang again. Same number. I let it ring. Then again. And again. By the fourth call, I knew something had gone wrong. Badly. I finally picked up. Hello? Silence. Then, a voice. Tense. Rushed. Is this you? I recognized it instantly. Mark. The COO. The same man who approved my termination. I leaned back, calm. Yes. Another pause. Like he was choosing his words carefully. We need to talk. Not, can we? Not, please. Just. We need to talk. I almost laughed. About what? I asked. There was frustration in his voice now. The system. Of course it was. I looked out the window. Took my time. Let the silence stretch. Because for the first time, he was the one waiting. It should be running fine, I said casually. Another pause. Longer this time. Then. It's not. Simple. Direct. And exactly what I expected. I closed my eyes for a second. Not surprised. Not shocked. Just, calm. Because I had already seen this coming. Define not, I said. His tone changed. Less confident. More, controlled panic. Data isn't syncing. Clients can't access their accounts. The dashboard is glitching. I didn't interrupt. I let him keep going. Because every word he said was confirmation. They launched anyway. Without fixing anything. Without listening. Without me. And? I asked quietly. There was a pause. Then. It's getting worse. Of course it was. Because what they didn't know, what they never bothered to understand, was that the system wasn't designed to fail loudly. It was designed to fail slowly, quietly. And by the time you notice, it's already too late. I stood up, walked over to my desk, looked at my old laptop. Still sitting there. Untouched. Because deep down, I already knew what he was going to say next. And I was right. We need you to come in, Mark said. Not a request. Not yet. But close. I smiled. Because now, everything had flipped. I didn't answer him right away. I let the silence sit. Because for the first time, he was the one waiting. Come in. I repeated slowly. Like I didn't understand. Like I needed him to say it again. Yes, Mark said, this time more firmly. We need you here. Now. Now. That word almost made me laugh. Because 3 days ago, I didn't exist. Now. I was urgent. I walked over to the window. watching people move like nothing had changed. But everything had. You fired me, I said calmly. I know, he replied quickly. That's not the point right now. Not the point. Of course it wasn't. Not for him. But for me. That was the only point. You made a decision, I continued. And now you're dealing with it. His tone tightened. This isn't the time for this. I smiled slightly. Because that's exactly what people say. When it is the time. Then what is it the time for? I asked. There was a pause. Long. Heavy. And then. His voice dropped. Lower. Controlled. Almost careful. Tell me what's wrong with the system. There it was. Not an apology. Not even close. Just a demand. Like I still worked for him. Like nothing had changed. I leaned back in my chair. No. Silence. Pure silence. Then. What? He said, clearly caught off guard. I don't work there anymore, I said. That's your system now. His breathing got heavier. You built it. Not anymore. Another pause. This one different. Because now. He understood. This wasn't a conversation. This was leverage. You're putting the company at risk, he said. I almost laughed. No, I replied calmly. You did that when you ignored me. Silence again. And this time. It stayed. Because he didn't have a response. And for the first time. He knew he had lost control. I ended the call. Just like that. No warning. No explanation. The same way they fired me. For a few seconds. I just sat there. Quiet. Still. Letting it sink in. Because everything had changed. 3 days ago. I was replaceable. Now. I was the only solution. My phone buzzed again. Mark. I ignored it. Then again. And again. By the 5th call. He stopped calling. And sent a message instead. We need to fix this. Name your terms. I stared at the screen. Read it twice. Then smiled. Because now. This wasn't about fixing a system. This was about control. About respect. About making sure this never happens again. I stood up. Walked over to my desk. Opened my laptop. And for the first time since Friday. I logged in. The system dashboard loaded slowly. And there it was. Everything I expected. Errors spreading. Data mismatching. User complaints flooding in. But the real damage hadn't even started yet. Because what they didn't understand, what they never understood, was that the system wasn't fragile. It was precise. It depended on balance. On timing. On decisions made in the right order. And once that balance broke, it didn't just stop working. It started exposing things. Internal logs. Hidden shortcuts. Unapproved changes. Everything they rushed. Everything they ignored. Everything they pushed through. Just to launch on time. I closed the laptop again. Because now. I had everything I needed. Proof. Leverage. Time. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Mark. This one different. Shorter. Less confident. Please. I looked at it for a long second. Because that word. That single word. Said more than anything else. They were desperate. And desperation. Changes everything. Now I had a choice. Go back. Fix everything. Save them. Or. Make sure they never forget what they did. And this time, I wasn't going to rush the decision. I didn't reply right away. I let him wait. Because for the first time, he understood what silence feels like. 3 days ago, I was the one waiting. Now, it was him. I picked up my phone. And finally replied. We can talk. His response came instantly. When can you come in? I smiled. Still trying to control the situation. Still thinking I'd walk back in like nothing changed. So I made it clear. I'm not coming in. A pause. Then what do you want? There it was. The question he should have asked before firing me. I leaned back. Thinking carefully. Because this wasn't just about money. This was about making sure. This never happens again. So I typed. Slowly. Deliberately. Full remote. Contract basis. 3x my previous salary. Written authority over system decisions. I watched the typing bubble appear. Disappear. Appear again. He was thinking. Calculating. Because now. He didn't have options. He had consequences. A minute passed. Then. Done. No negotiation. No argument. Just one word. Done. I almost laughed. Because that's all it took. Not years of hard work. Not loyalty. Just leverage. Real leverage. I opened my laptop again. Logged in. Watched the system carefully. And then. I fixed it. Not everything. Just enough. Enough to stop the damage. Enough to stabilize things. Enough to remind them. They still needed me. My phone rang. Mark again. This time. His tone was different. Respectful. Controlled. Thank you, he said. I didn't respond right away. Because this time. I didn't need to. He already knew. Things had changed. Permanently. I wasn't his employee anymore. I was his solution. And solutions don't get ignored. They get respected. I ended the call. Closed my laptop. And for the first time, I didn't feel fired. I felt in control.